What did you find, little girl? Hi there, folks. Welcome to the Optimistic Absurdist channel, where we're experimenting a little bit with not being in front of a screen. So if you're joining us, thanks for joining us. And if you have a question or a comment, just leave that and we'll get back to you. I know that's not the essence of live, but it's been raining a lot here, and finally we've got a beautiful day. And so we, my golden retriever Arya here, and I figured we would come outside, take some notes, do some reading. I have a few things on my mind I wanted to share with you guys, so sprinkle that in. For the most part, just wanted to share this day with you guys while we enjoyed it. But yeah, welcome to our channel where we quietly, and that's important, where we quietly question the absurdity that is our universe. And I say quietly because, as you know, there's so much of the loud noise. Ooh, still have my slippers. Walk in the grass. Mama, you were supposed to tell me that. Still had on. Ah, that feels better. But yeah, there's enough of that. Enough noise. Hopefully, I brought a pen for taking notes. But yeah, it's been raining a lot here, and it's the Hawaiian winter. But we've got a lot more water than we thought this time around. And sadly, some folks were disadvantaged because of that. But I think it's past now, and the Kona winds are back. And they bring a little bit of shower with them. But we're glad to see Bob back. The big orange ball. The sun feels good. And maybe you guys can hear some of our friends, the birds, when they come out. Oh, wait, I'll show you guys something. So this is an avocado tree, and when I say there are some low-hanging fruit, I mean, can you guys see that? Low-hanging fruit. Literally. Low-hanging fruit, low-hanging fruit. One over here by the feeder. Low-hanging fruit. And so many that I could just reach with the picker, and I can't wait. But we're losing a lot of them too because of the Kona winds that I talked about. I've been picking them up. Some of them are rotted because I miss them. But yeah. And the tangerine too. It's starting to come back in. Can't wait. And off screen in the back, there's papaya. But the birds, they're too fast. They beat me to those. Like, I'll see them starting to turn. See? But they beat me to those. But yeah, low-hanging fruit. Can't wait. I mean, I eat avocado on everything. I think in part that's my Jamaican heritage. I mean, cooked meals as a side, toast, you name it. Can't wait. And this species is the big ones too. Huh, Mama? You found any lizards yet? Found, that's her pastime. Searching for lizards. She's happy that Bob is back, 'cause then they come out, huh, Mama? Yeah, they come out. All right, Daddy's gonna jot down some notes, and then maybe, if we still have the folks with us, share some thoughts that I've been ruminating about. But for the most part, we're gonna let them enjoy. Okay? Here's another avocado. Okay, Daddy's gonna take some notes. I'm not sure if I finished describing the channel, but yeah, we question just about all the absurdities. I will never say never, but it's highly unlikely that I will ever do a standalone channel, a standalone episode on 3 topics: religion, politics, and environmental issues. As a standalone, I might address them on the fringes, and I might talk about one of those today. I think I have an idea I want to share with you, because there's something I want to show you guys later, if you're still here. But yeah, religion, politics, and environmental issues just set people on fire, so I don't touch those. But outside of that, we talk about, and some of our topics might even be considered taboo, because there's enough of the repetition stuff that you can find on any of the platforms. I tend to go for those that I think most of us ponder but don't say out loud. Um, that said, if you are here and you enjoy the content that you've seen so far and what you've heard, um, feel free to subscribe and become a member. But your time is valuable, and I don't say that in episodes for a specific reason. I won't cover that here, but I'll say that here. But I normally don't talk about subscribers, because it's not what the channel is about. But then there is, how do you get what you're talking about out? So there's that, but not my focus, as you will find out as you um, go through the episodes. But one of the things I've been pondering, I read um, the other day somewhere, Adam Watts. Adam Watts once said, once you get the message, hang up the phone. And if you know anything about Adam Watts, what he was talking about primarily uh, was mushrooms, psychedelic mushrooms. And he dabbled in a lot of conversations about those things, but I found that statement to be not only true, but profound. Once you get the message, hang up the phone. And he was talking about addiction, obviously, or once you've experienced psychedelic mushrooms specifically, then what's the point in continue doing it? And I thought that can apply to so many things. All the isms you can think of, right? Alcoholism, egoism, addictions. I mean, and I think one of the biggest ways we do that is just with how much we are attached to like our devices. I mean, really, once we get the message, hang up the phone. I don't mean this bit of rumination to be a judgment, because it's not going to happen. I'm not going to stop using my devices. I'm not going to stop using my phone, but just how much of our time, and you guys have heard this before, is absorbed by our devices, the impermanence that we are attracted to. And it's not just our devices, the materialism, the chase, and there's so many nuances to that too, because I can sit here and talk about the chase, but in an environment where to make ends meet, you almost have to be on the chase. It's easy for me to say that, but for those who don't have to be but choose to be, those of us still trying to fit into trends and fleeting moments, I think we are so attached to these impermanence. And then here's the thing, when they end, which they will, we put ourselves in the state of melancholy, and not the good melancholy, but the beat ourselves up melancholy, of how stagnant we are because we're no longer growing. Because here's the thing I think we do with being so connected. We outsource our critical thinking. And I think I say that because it's part of why we have, again, my humble opinion, so many of the issues we have is because we don't communicate. And you say, come on, Warren, we do communicate with our devices. No, not that kind of communication. Face-to-face communication. But I know that we need connection. I know that because if we didn't have it, we wouldn't survive. But how much of it do we need? I mean, our ancestors had to be communal and be connected, because if they weren't, they would walk the cold tundra alone, and that wouldn't last very long, eaten by the same predators that they hunted for food. So community mattered then, and it matters now. But I mentioned nuances. There are so many differences now. We don't need community all the time. And it's not even the community. I guess it is for some people, because at the time they're connected, even though temporarily, and even though the conversations or the reason they're connected are fleeting, they're still connected. So I guess the point is, back to critical thinking. I think we outsource that because at this point we don't matter what the connection is anymore, and we have people think for us and fight battles for us, battles we often didn't know we had, and battles we often didn't ask them to fight for us. But I think we've outsourced our critical thinking, and that's why so many people think that they can speak on others' behalf or think they know what others are going through, to spew so much rhetoric and vitriol. But I think it's in part because we haven't hung up the phone, metaphorically, huh, Mama? And we think the algorithms work against us and that they're out to get us. And you want to give them a surprise, surprise, Mama? We are the algorithm. It only feeds us what we click and what we keep feeding ourselves. And as long as we pick an agenda or a side of an issue, or limit our critical thinking to just black and white, those false fallacies, there are only two options. Um, and some of us buy into that because we have outsourced our critical thinking, because we don't have to think anymore. We just click. Anyway, I was ruminating about that one. Adam Watts. What is that, Mama? Maybe we should tell him about the orchid. and the bees. You want to do that? Let's do it. I think they might want to know. I wish I could confidently move the camera so you could see closer what I'm talking about. But last year, if you can see this, I know you might be able to see this though, this contraption. So there's a story behind it. Last year I bought this uh, orchid, and it's a hybrid, 3 different colors, and it is beautiful. But I bought it in one of those typical supermarket, like, I don't know, 3 cup little container, 4 cup maybe. And I knew it wouldn't last very long just moving it around inside and around the house. But here, because of the moisture and the water and, the paradise weather, they do well outside. And so there was a hole in the tree right here where this contraption is. And so I put it here, and it was thriving well. Um, the beautiful parasite, as I like to call them. And there's a point to be made with that. I'm going to expand on that a little bit. But beautiful parasite, and it was doing well. But I'd left a gap between the tree and the hole, unknowingly. And bees had gone down into that hole. And even though the tree is not dead, as you can see, somehow from here down, half maybe, or third, I'm not sure, but a portion of this is dead or hollow. And there was a hive in there. And last year I come out to check on the orchid. I think that's a cardinal. If it's, yeah, it's a good one. I'll tell you a myth, folklore about cardinals. But I come out and I hear this heavy buzzing sound, and I saw a few bees just hanging out right here. And the closer I got, the heavier it got. The heavier it became, I should say. And I started messing with them, and they started coming out even more. So I said, nope. For safety's sake, the girl and me and my wife comes out here every now and then too. Let's just get the beekeeper. So you're loud, buddy, but you're pretty. And he put a box here, and this funnel was to come out into the box after he put some um, uh, to attract him. Attractant, that's the word. And then, cool thing is, he said, you will know when they're almost gone, because they will bring all the trash, all the critters that uh, snuck in and tried to house themselves in the hive and died. They'll bring them out as they leave. And usually that occurs before the queen. And sure enough, I came out and you could see this was full of like crickets and other bugs. And then the queen, big fat queen, came out and they left. And he had to move the orchid clearly to put this there out here. And we zip tied it around, and it's back again, thriving. It's getting ready to bud. Parasite, a beautiful parasite. I don't think their leaves produce oxygen because they're so thick. They're not porous. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I do know that their roots help to filter the water as it goes down the trunk and the bark of the tree. I was thinking, parasite, it needs the tree to survive, but it gives back, filters water. And oh, by the way, aesthetically, it's beautiful. Like I said, especially this one, it's hybrid. Um, but then I thought, what do we give back? And again, that's why I prefaced, it's not an environmental talk. It's just a real talk. And I think you'll get a hint of why I don't cover it, because of my take on it. A little bit of hypocrisy. But I was thinking, what do we give back? And it's not much. I mean, clear cutting like we used to doesn't occur anymore, at least not in developed worlds, developed countries. Um, Replanting is done. But yeah, I drink tea and I drink coffee. Love them both. And I know that forest has to be cleared for farms to plant my tea and my coffee. And here's the part, in part, why I don't cover the subject. I am not going to stop. And so, instead of jumping on any one wagon, what I do is I say, okay, Warren, you consume. What can you do to give back? And here's what I say. We start small. Start small. I'm not going to give up my coffee, right? But I use the K-cups as seedling cups. Off camera, I have a few things growing, some squash and other things, and that's how I started them. So I used K-cups. And straight line distance, I live about 4 miles, 3 to 4 miles round trip from the supermarket. So if I need to do grab something instead of driving and being blessed with good my bicycle. That's it. There's the end of the conversation. Start small, do your part, because you're not going to quit your behaviors. We're not going to quit our behaviors. It's the human condition. But yeah, and and I wasn't trying to insult anyone by saying, aren't we parasites? But for context and for our little chat, I think so. I mean, we need Mother Earth for so many things. And ironically, let me think about that. I might have to think a little harder, but I don't think she needs us for anything really. Yeah, but we're not going to stop. So there's the conversation. Start small, do your part, and understand that we do have a very big footprint. Oh, mama, you having fun? Lizards, you finding any? Yep. Hey folks, if you're still with us, I'm not sure, like I said, this was a gamble not being able to see the screen, but if you're still with us, thanks for being here. We know your time is precious, but we appreciate you spending some with us as we share our backyard with you. What, you want me to keep rubbing? Another thing that I've been ruminating about is I think a lot of us are walking around feeling like we're supposed to have it figured out. I, that one got in my head because I overheard a fairly young person saying that. Man, I forgot the age, he said, and I don't have it figured out. And I'm just like, I so wanted, I was tempted to say something, but I didn't. And not something bad, but just to tell him, no one does. Welcome to the club. Because I'm not sure that was ever the point anyway, you know? Somewhere along the way, though, we picked up on this idea that we should know our path. And dare I say, know 5 steps ahead. Our purpose. Yeah, that one too. I mean, I can't honestly tell you what I had for lunch 3 days ago, much less thinking 5 steps ahead. And here is the big, the the I think the absurdity of it all is by a certain age. Like I said, this kid, when compared to my age, he was that. When this kid said that, I almost fell out of my chair. But yeah, um, and the sad thing, it's not his age either that is confused by that. There's so many people my age, and I'm not gonna date myself, but you guys could figure it out. But life doesn't really work like that, you know. I mean, if we're honest, most of us are guessing. Most of us are guessing if we're honest. Most people are figuring it out as they go, adjusting and changing direction. But here's the thing with that one. Um, I'm writing as I think. Changing direction as we go. Most of us are. I think we just don't say it out loud. And there's a reason we don't say it out loud. And that's the one that gets us in trouble. Our egos, I think. Because, like I said, most of us are guessing, but our egos get in the way of having to admit that we're adjusting or having to adjust, having to change direction, be that profession, relation, because we're not wired that way. We don't want to admit failure or lagging behind. Oh, beautiful. We don't want to admit that. And so, nuances to that too, right? Vulnerability kicks in. The, the fear of failure and being judged. But I think because of that and our egos and not wanting to admit that, we just go around uh, in that illusion of certainty, you know? I really do think we do that. We mistake confidence for clarity because we see someone that looks sure of themselves, you know, they're dressed the role, they talk the talk, and we assume they know exactly what they're doing. And so we get caught in the comparison trap because, there's Johnny. Johnny's got it figured out. And so we have to be like Johnny, and we start running a Johnny race instead of staying on our path. But Johnny looks like he knows what he's doing, but inside, I'm sure Johnny's doing exactly what we're doing too, guessing, figuring it out as he goes. But I think certainty is often just admitting that you don't know everything, and you probably never will. I think it was Seneca or Epictetus and I'm paraphrasing, that basically says you can't tell a fool who thinks they know everything, anything. Kind of like an empty barrel makes the most noise. Grandmother used to say that. And I bring up the Stoic angle because they didn't focus on having life figured out either. And I bring them up because, this is 2,000 plus years ago. We could learn from them. I think they focused more on responding well because they'll tell you that if you didn't put the thing in motion, then don't fuss about it because you have no control. What is that? This is Seneca, the dichotomy of control. You can control only that which is in your control, usually that which you put in motion. All the external factors are out of your control. Now you can plan because they did, they responded well. They did their homework to make sure that what they could affect that they did, but they didn't focus on figuring things out. They did question quietly, like we do on this channel, the absurdities. And I don't really want to say the meaning of life, but purpose. And so that was their jazz. But they only responded to that which they put in motion. And the ones they didn't, they let come and go. They adapt, right? They focus more on adaptation. I think and I think we could learn something from them with that, because that adaptation piece, I think, keeps us grounded back to our trying to fit in, and the chase and the comparison trap. But I think adapting, admitting, getting our egos out of the way and adapting keeps us grounded. What? I heard it too. They weren't chasing perfect plans. They were working on what I'm trying to work on or keep working on, building a steady character. Not predictable, just a better citizen, just a better human being. Um, and I talked about people trying to fight battles and take hills for others, often not asked for. Um, but I want to be there to have a conversation, because I think that's the thing. I think most, and this is going to sound so cliche and maybe even philosophical, but I think so much of what, coming from a soldier's perspective too, so much of what we end up being in fights about, be they verbal or physical, can be worked out with communication, but we don't listen well. And I often say that hearing is involuntary and listening is an art, and I so truly believe that. But you have to practice it. You have to put away everything to include your brain working on its response, because it feels threatened, our limbic system, which is in the back, ironically, but is always front and center in everything, fear, 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 danger, danger, danger. And then our prefrontal cortex have to be like we used to say to soldiers, take a knee, face out, drink water, and pull security. It's not what it always seems, right? Because our eyes, even though we need to trust them, at first glance are often very distrusting. But we need to just practice steady character, I think. But we're always just so quick to not listen, and so we miss what people are telling us. And the conversation that started as a conversation becomes confrontational, and then leads to other things, because we don't listen well and we don't communicate well. And that's not just me talking. There's so many examples I could use where diplomacy by way of communication worked so much better, not a shot fired. And I'm talking about covert, overt, whichever way you have to do it, diplomacy. But the Cuban Missile Crisis comes to mind. The Cold War with the former USSR comes to mind. Um, our ongoing armistice with North Korea. That is not an ended war. It's just, all right, we're tired of fighting. Let's just pause. It has been working through dialogue. Diplomacy is tough. And I'm talking about even the diplomacy in our families and our relationships. It's tough. But if we work on, I think, being more steady characters and work on our listening and communicating and stop outsourcing our critical thinking, then I think we can change. We can have a quiet reframe of that mindset of thinking we always have to have it figured out. Because maybe life isn't something we figure out, and I don't know why we would want to. They say we only use what, 1 to 4% of our brain's capacity. So I don't want my little gray cells, like Hercule Poirot calls them, to just go dormant or wither away. So I'm going to keep thinking and questioning quietly. But I don't want to know everything. I just want to keep knowing, because that is the value. And to do that, I think I'm not so much worrying about knowing or figuring out everything, but to participate in it, through dialogue, good conversations. The ones I don't think we have a lot anymore. Like sometimes I think of back to our friends, the Stoics. I can imagine like one of their conversations, marbled walls or marbled floors and ivied walls and vines, and just one down at one end of the table is like, confidence is prime to good character. And one down here is just, that too, but hence. And all that back and forth, only punctuated every now and then by a good sip of wine. Nostalgia. Never mind me, don't judge me. But yeah, maybe it's something we participate in, step by step, decision by decision, little things by little things, and stop trying to be just, if you want to know how to do that, click here. If I've got it figured out over here, going once over here, I've figured it out. Cheaper over this side. I don't think we need to have it figured out at all. I think we just need to keep showing up honestly for ourselves and for our broader community. Just keep showing up honestly. But over here, over there. Aha, mama. Ah, you're focused. You see lizards in the path you're not supposed to go. You're so good. But I probably lost so many of you now with that rumination. But yeah, having it figured out. I when I heard him say that, I was like, come on, kid. You have so much life left, man. Why do you want to have it figured out? Don't you want to keep asking questions and not to incite, like I said, any uh, fights, but just in wonderment. But I don't know, somewhere along the way we picked up thinking we have to know 5 steps ahead our purpose. And you say, Warren, come on, I gotta have some kind of direction. Purpose is a big word, but yeah, I gotta have a sense of direction in my life. And true. But except for the things that we should plan for and do some homework on, right? Back to the Stoics. What is the term? Negative visualization, right? You visualize yourself, for example, ending up under the overpass. And so you backtrack, you backplan, and you do the things you need to do to not end up under the overpass. But beyond that, you have no control, right? Negative visualization. If you need some help, just think about that. Where do I not want to end up? And then you do the work that you can to not end up there. And the rest, not in your control. Not at all. But yeah, you can have a path by all means. You got to have a plan. But like we say in the military, I won't use profanity, but as soon as you step off, as we say, plan A goes to you know what, 99.99999% of the time. That is true. But we don't hope, we plan, because hope is not a course of action. We plan, but just to the point to which you can control. And then let life be life and live it. Huh, mama? I think I jotted enough notes. You gonna come join me down here, little girl? Oh, Daddy's gonna read a little bit. If they're still with us, they can hang out. And that feels better. I'm gonna read something for you guys, and it's homework. It really is homework. Um, I'm gonna try to not read the word, and then you guys can tell me in the comments if you are or fit this description. Okay, here we go. An blank embodies the personality trait of non-belonging, remaining an eternal outsider in a communal world. Unlike those with relational disorders, blanks are empathetic and friendly, yet struggle to truly belong in social groups, and distinctions from well-adjusted individuals. They struggle to belong in social groups, despite no apparent behavioral distinctions. Do you know who that is, and are you one? I am. It's a new word. Hopefully you can't see it. But that's the book I'm reading. It's about outsiders, hint, hint, thriving in a world of joiners. That's all I'm going to give you. But yeah, tell me if you are. And if you're still with us, folks, I'm going to do a little bit of reading, and stay as long as you want. I think I'm actually going to stay another 10 minutes after I check to see if you're still here and we're still recording, because I so do poorly at live. Let's check. Still good, Mom. Are you going to come join me, or are you going off camera? All right. Okay, folks, we are still live, so thanks for stopping by and for spending some of your time with us. And as I say on the main channel and the main episodes before closing, be good out there. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and hopefully I'll see you on one of the episodes. All right? We'll talk again soon. See ya. Come on. Round two. Where is it? I hear a Java sparrow, Mama, but I can't see it. I see your tail going crazy, though. Where is it? Ah, I see it. That's a big one, too. Yeah, that was a good one, Mama. Happy tail. I hear you, but I don't see you. I see it. You stay on this side. I know it's tempting. Yeah. Okay. Come on. Let's wrap it up, Mama.